They say scent memory is the strongest kind. I wish I could forget his. Pine and smoke, clean and cruel. The kind of scent that clung to my clothes even after I scrubbed my skin raw in the shower. Even now, 7 years later, standing in the glass tower of Bayek Enterprises in downtown Seattle, I can still smell it when I close my eyes. But I don't close my eyes anymore. Not since the day Kang Minho shoved me into a locker and told me I smelled like nothing, like I was nothing. Not since I left that high school in San Francisco and swore I'd never let an alpha make me feel small again. And definitely not since I found out the billionaire CEO I'm about to meet is him. My name is Shin Ji-won, and I don't run anymore. I'm 25 now. I'm a senior analyst at one of the most competitive consulting firms in the Pacific Northwest. I've built a life here in Seattle that's clean, quiet, and mine. No pack politics, no alpha posturing, no reminders of the scared Omega kid I used to be. Except today. Today, my boss handed me the Beck file with a smile that felt like a trap. "You're Korean American, right, Ji-won?" he said, like that was qualification enough. This client specifically requested someone who understands the cultural nuances, big contract, career-defining work. I should have said no, but I didn't build this life by saying no to opportunities just because they scared me. So here I am, standing in the lobby of the tallest building in Seattle, staring at my reflection in the polished marble floor. Charcoal suit, neat hair, steady hands. I look nothing like the Omega boy Minho used to corner in empty hallways. I look like someone who belongs here. The elevator chimes. I step inside, and my stomach drops as the doors slide shut. I haven't seen Minho since graduation. I haven't thought about him in years, or at least I've tried not to. But the truth is, some wounds don't close just because you stop looking at them. He was the worst kind of bully, not the loud kind, not the kind who left bruises you could show someone. Minho was surgical. He knew exactly where to cut so it wouldn't show, but you'd feel it every time you breathed. Why do you even bother coming to school, Ji-won? It's not like you'll ever be anything. You smell like fear. Did you know that? It's pathetic. No alpha's ever going to want you. And the worst part? I believed him. For years, I believed him. It wasn't until I left California, started over in Seattle, and clawed my way up in a world that didn't care about designations that I finally started to believe something else. That I was enough. That I was more than what he said I was. The elevator climbs higher, and my pulse climbs with it. 53rd floor, 54th, 55th. The doors open. The reception area is all glass and steel. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook the city, clouds hanging low over Elliott Bay. Everything here is sharp, cold, expensive. A woman in a crisp white blouse greets me with a practiced smile. "Mr. Shin, Mr. Beck is expecting you, right this way." I follow her down a hallway lined with abstract art that probably costs more than my apartment. My shoes are too loud against the marble, my breathing is too shallow. I tell myself it's just nerves, that it's normal to feel this way before meeting a high-profile client. But then she opens the door to the corner office, and I catch it. Pine and smoke. My stomach twists. No, it can't be. "Mr. Beck will be with you in just a moment," the woman says, gesturing to the leather chair across from the massive desk. "Please, make yourself comfortable." She leaves. I don't sit. I can't. Because the scent in this room is the same one that used to haunt me in high school. The same one I spent years trying to forget. And when the door opens again, I don't need to turn around to know. Ji-won. His voice is deeper now, smoother, but it's still his. I turn slowly and there he is. Kang Minho. No, Beck Minho now, apparently. He must have taken his mother's name. He's taller than I remember. Broader, His black suit fits him like it was made for his body, because it probably was. His hair is styled back, sharp jaw clean-shaven, and his eyes are the same dark, unreadable brown they always were. But it's the way he's looking at me that makes my breath catch. Not with surprise, not with recognition, with something else entirely. "It's been a long time," he says, and his voice is so calm it makes my skin prickle. I force my shoulders back, force my voice steady. "Mr. Beck, I'm here to discuss the consulting contract." He doesn't move, doesn't blink, just watches me like I'm something he lost and just found again. "I know why you're here," he says quietly, "but that's not why I asked for you." My pulse spikes. I don't understand. He takes a step closer, and I catch his scent again, stronger now. It wraps around me like a memory I can't shake. "You disappeared after graduation," Minho says. "No forwarding address, no social media, nothing." "I moved on," I say, and I hate how tight my throat feels. "I had no reason to stay." "You had every reason." I stare at him. "What?" His jaw tightens. For the first time, I see something crack in that perfect, controlled mask. "You don't know, do you?" "Know what?" He exhales slowly, and when he speaks again, his voice is low, almost dangerous. "That you've been mine since the day I first caught your scent." The room tilts. "What are you talking about?" Minho's eyes lock onto mine, and I see it now. The thing I missed all those years ago because I was too young, too scared, too broken to recognize it. Hunger. "You're my mate, Jiwon," he says. "You always have been." My pulse stuttered. The word hung in the air, between us like smoke. Mate. He said it so easily, like it was fact, like it explained everything, like it excused everything. No. The word came out sharper than I intended, but I didn't take it back. Minho's expression didn't change. He just stood there, watching me with that same unreadable intensity, and I hated how steady he looked while my entire world was fracturing. "No?" he repeated, and there was something almost amused in his tone. "You think you can refuse biology, Jiwon?" "I think you're insane," I shot back. My hands curled into fists at my sides. "You spent 4 years making my life hell. You told me I was worthless, that no alpha would ever want me, and now you expect me to believe we're mates?" I never said I was proud of it. That's not an apology. I'm not apologizing. The air between us crackled. I wanted to walk out. I should have walked out, but my feet wouldn't move, and that terrified me more than anything he'd said. Because some traitorous part of me recognized his scent, not just remembered it, recognized it, like my body had been waiting for it all these years. "You're lying," I said, but my voice sounded weaker now. "If we were mates, I would have known. I would have felt it." Minho tilted his head slightly, and for the first time I saw something flicker in his eyes, something raw. "You did feel it," he said quietly. "You just didn't understand what it was." My breath caught. "No." He took another step forward, and I stepped back on instinct. My spine hit the edge of his desk, trapped. "Every time I got close to you," Minho continued, his voice dropping lower, "your scent changed, got sweeter, warmer, like your body was trying to tell you something your mind refused to accept." "Stop. You thought it was fear, didn't you?" I couldn't answer. My throat was too tight. "It wasn't," he said, and now he was close enough that I could feel the heat radiating off him, close enough that his scent wrapped around me like a second skin. "It was recognition. Your Omega knew exactly what I was." "Then why?" The question ripped out of me before I could stop it. "Why did you treat me like that? Why did you make me feel like I was nothing?" For the first time, Minho looked away, and that small crack in his composure hit me harder than any of his words. Because I was 17, he said finally, and terrified. I stared at him. Of what? Of you. The confession hung between us, fragile and brutal. My father had plans for me, Minho continued, his jaw tight. An arranged bond with the daughter of a pack ally, political, strategic, the kind of match that secured power and alliances. He didn't care that I was already bonded by scent. He didn't care that rejecting a true mate could destroy me. My chest ached. So you destroyed me instead. Minho's gaze snapped back to mine, and the pain in his eyes was so sharp it stole my breath. Yes, he said simply. I thought if I made you hate me, if I pushed you away hard enough, you'd leave. You'd be safe. You'd find someone else and forget about me. I did leave, I whispered. I did forget. Did you? The question pierced through me, because the truth was, I hadn't. Not really. I'd buried it, locked it away, built a new life on top of the ruins, but I never forgot. And standing here now, drowning in his scent, I realized something even worse. My body hadn't forgotten either. This doesn't change anything, I said, but my voice shook. You don't get to show up 7 years later and claim me like I'm some kind of prize you won. I'm not claiming you as a prize, Jiwon. Then what are you doing? Minho's hand lifted slowly, and I watched, frozen, as his fingers stopped just inches from my face. He didn't touch me, didn't close the distance, just hovered there, waiting. I'm asking you to let me fix what I broke, he said, quietly. My breath hitched. You can't fix this. Let me try. For a moment, I almost believed him, almost let myself imagine what it would be like to accept this, to let the bond snap into place the way it should have 7 years ago. But then I remembered. The locker, the whispers, the way he looked through me like I didn't exist. I pushed past him, my shoulder brushing his chest, and the contact sent a shock of heat through my entire body. I didn't stop moving until I reached the door. Jiwon. I paused, my hand on the handle, but I didn't turn around. This contract, I said, forcing my voice steady, is this real, or was it just an excuse to get me here? Silence, then, quietly, both. My fingers tightened on the handle. I'll send someone else from my firm to handle it, I said. Don't contact me again. I pulled the door open. You can run, Jiwon. I froze. Minho's voice was soft, but it cut through me like a blade. But your scent is already calling to mine, and sooner or later, you're going to feel it too. I didn't answer. I walked out, letting the door close behind me with a soft click. But as I stepped into the elevator and pressed the button for the lobby, my hands were shaking. And when I breathed in, all I could smell was pine and smoke. Even here, even now, my body was betraying me. The elevator descended, and I leaned back against the wall, closing my eyes. This wasn't over, and the most terrifying part, I wasn't sure I wanted it to be. The elevator doors opened to the lobby, and I stepped out into the cold Seattle air like I was surfacing from underwater. My lungs burned. I made it 3 blocks before I had to stop. My back hit the brick wall of a coffee shop, and I pressed my palms flat against the rough surface, trying to ground myself, trying to breathe through the panic clawing up my throat. This wasn't happening. It couldn't be happening. Mates were supposed to be rare, a 1 in a million chance, the kind of thing that happened in romance novels and old pack legends, not to someone like me, and definitely not with someone like him. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out with shaking hands. Unknown number. You left your portfolio in my office. My jaw clenched. Of course I did. Unknown number. I'll have it couriered to your firm by end of day. I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. I should have just said, thank you. Should have kept it professional and distant. Instead, I typed, don't. 3 dots appeared immediately. Unknown number. Don't what? Me. Don't act like this is normal. Don't pretend we're just business associates who happen to go to the same high school. The dots disappeared, reappeared. Unknown number. I never said it was normal, Jiwon, but it's real, and ignoring it won't make it go away. I shoved my phone back in my pocket and started walking. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I needed to move, needed to put distance between me and that building, between me and him. But no matter how fast I walked, I couldn't escape the scent clinging to my clothes. Pine and smoke. It was everywhere, in my hair, on my skin, wrapped around me like invisible chains. I turned down a side street, and that's when I heard it. Footsteps, heavy, deliberate, following me. My heart slammed against my ribs. I walked faster. The footsteps matched my pace. I turned another corner, ducking into a narrow alley between two buildings, and pressed myself against the wall. My breath came in short, sharp bursts. Stupid. This was so stupid. I should have stayed on the main road where there were people, witnesses. The footsteps grew closer. I held my breath. A shadow fell across the alley entrance, and then he stepped into view. Not Minho, someone else. An alpha. Taller, broader. His eyes locked onto me, and his lips curved into a smile that made my skin crawl. Well, he said, his voice low and oily. What do we have here? I straightened, forcing my shoulders back. I'm not interested. Didn't ask if you were. He took a step closer, and I caught his scent. Rotten fruit and wet metal. Nothing like Minho's clean, sharp pine. My stomach turned. You smell unclaimed, the alpha continued, tilting his head like he was studying prey. That's rare for an Omega your age. Back off, I said, and I hated how my voice shook. He laughed. Or what? My hand slipped into my pocket, fingers curling around my keys. Not much of a weapon, but it was something. The alpha took another step forward, and then froze. His nostrils flared, his eyes widened. You've been marked, he said slowly, and now there was confusion in his voice, almost fear. I can smell it on you. I haven't, I said quickly, too quickly. But even as the words left my mouth, I knew they were a lie, because the scent clinging to me wasn't just memory, it was claim. Minho's scent had wrapped itself around mine so completely that anyone with half a nose could tell I'd been in close contact with another alpha, close enough to matter. The stranger's jaw tightened. Who? None of your business. Tell me. No. He moved fast, faster than I expected. His hand shot out and grabbed my wrist, yanking me forward, and pain exploded up my arm. I gasped. Let go. Not until you tell me whose scent you're wearing. And then, from behind him, a voice cut through the air like a blade. Mine. The alpha's grip loosened. I looked up, and there he was. Minho stood at the mouth of the alley, his hands in his pockets, his expression calm. But his eyes were anything but. They were black, feral, and fixed entirely on the hand wrapped around my wrist. I suggest, Minho said quietly, you let him go. The stranger's lip curled. This doesn't concern you. It does when you're touching what's mine. He's unclaimed. Not anymore. The air in the alley shifted, thickened. I felt it in my chest, in my lungs, in the way my pulse skipped and stuttered. Alpha pheromones, strong enough to suffocate. The stranger's grip tightened for a second, defiant, and then his hand dropped. He stepped back, glaring at Minho. You're making a mistake. The only mistake, Minho said softly, is you still being here. The alpha held his gaze for another beat, then turned and walked away, his footsteps echoing off the brick walls until they faded into nothing. Silence settled over the alley. I pulled my wrist against my chest, rubbing the sore skin. Minho didn't move, didn't speak, just looked at me with those dark, unreadable eyes. You followed me, I said finally. Yes. Why? Because you're mine, Jiwon. His voice was low. steady, final. And I don't let what's mine walk away unprotected. I'm not yours. Your scent says otherwise. I opened my mouth to argue, but nothing came out. Because he was right. Somewhere between his office and this alley, something had shifted. Something I couldn't control, couldn't deny. The bond was waking up, and it didn't care that I wasn't ready. Come on, Minho said, stepping aside and gesturing toward the street. I'll walk you back. I don't need you to. I know. Then why? He looked at me, and for just a second, the mask slipped. Because 7 years ago, I let you walk away alone, he said quietly. I won't make that mistake again. I didn't take his hand, but I walked beside him. The streets of Seattle blurred around us, rain beginning to fall in soft, cold drops that clung to my hair and jacket. Minho walked half a step ahead, his presence a solid wall between me and the rest of the world. I hated how safe that made me feel. Where are we going? I asked, because the silence was worse than talking. Somewhere you can breathe without looking over your shoulder. My apartment is 10 minutes from here. Your apartment doesn't have security. I stopped walking. Excuse me? Minho turned to face me, rain streaking down his sharp features. That alpha knew you were unclaimed. He'll tell others. Word spreads fast in pack circles, G1, especially about unmated omegas. I've been unmated for 7 years. I've been fine. You've been invisible, he corrected. Now you're not. The words landed like a punch. Because of you, I said, and the anger in my voice surprised even me. Because your scent is all over me. Because you marked me without my permission. I didn't mark you. Then what do you call this? I gestured at myself, at the space between us, at the invisible thing threading through the air that I couldn't name, but could feel in every breath. Minho's jaw tightened. Scent bonding isn't the same as marking. It's involuntary. When true mates are in close proximity, their scents begin to merge. It's biology, not choice. So I have no say in this. Neither do I. You're an alpha, I snapped. You always have a say. Something flickered across his face. Pain, maybe, or regret. Not with you, he said quietly. Never with you. The rain fell harder. I looked away, my chest tight. I just want to go home. Then let me take you there. Please. The words sounded wrong in his mouth, foreign, like he wasn't used to asking for anything. I should have said no, should have walked away right then and proved to both of us that I didn't need him, but my wrist still ached where that alpha had grabbed me, and the fear that had spiked through me in that alley hadn't fully faded. So I nodded, just once. Minho's shoulders relaxed, and he turned, leading the way down the street toward the parking garage where a black sedan waited like a shadow. The driver stepped out, opening the door without a word. I hesitated. It's just a car, Jiwon, Minho said, reading my hesitation like it was written on my skin. Not a cage. I slid into the back seat. He followed, the door closing behind him with a soft click that felt too final. The interior smelled like leather and rain in him. God, it was everywhere. I pressed myself against the opposite door, putting as much space between us as the back seat allowed. Minho noticed. Of course he noticed, but he didn't comment. The car pulled into traffic, and the city lights blurred through the rain-streaked windows. Neither of us spoke. I focused on my breathing. In, out, steady. But then Minho shifted, and his knee brushed mine. The contact was barely there, accidental, and it set my entire body on fire. I jerked away, my back hitting the door. Minho went still. Jiwon, don't! My voice came out too sharp, too raw. Just don't. I'm not trying to hurt you. You don't have to try. You just do. Silence swallowed the space between us. When he spoke again, his voice was softer. Careful. What do you want me to say? Nothing. I turned to look at him, and the intensity in his gaze stole the breath from my lungs. I want you to say nothing. I want you to let me go back to my life and pretend this never happened. Can you do that? He asked. Pretend? No. The answer rose in my throat, but I bit it back, because the truth was worse than the lie. The truth was that every second I spent near him, the bond pulled tighter. Every breath I took filled my lungs with his scent. Every look, every word, every accidental touch rewired something deep inside me that I didn't know how to control. I was losing myself to this, to him, and I didn't know how to stop it. The car slowed, pulling up in front of my building. I reached for the door handle. Wait. I paused, my hand frozen mid-reach. Minho leaned forward, and I felt the heat of him at my back, felt the way his breath ghosted over my neck. He didn't touch me, but God, I wished he would, and I hated myself for it. If you need me, he said quietly, call. I won't. I know. He reached past me, so close I could feel the fabric of his sleeve brush my shoulder, and pulled a card from the pocket on the back of the driver's seat. He pressed it into my hand. His fingers lingered for just a second too long. Then he pulled back, and the absence of his warmth felt like a physical loss. I stepped out of the car without looking back. The rain soaked through my jacket as I walked toward the building entrance, my fingers curling around the card he'd given me. I didn't look at it, not until I was inside, not until the elevator doors closed and I was alone. Then I unfolded it. Heavy cardstock, embossed lettering, Kang Minho, CEO, Bayek Enterprises, and below that, written in sharp, precise handwriting, in case you change your mind. My hands shook. I should have thrown it away, should have ripped it up and let the pieces fall like rain, but I didn't. I slipped it into my wallet, right next to my ID, right next to my heart. And when I finally made it to my apartment and closed the door behind me, locking out the world and the rain and him, I stood there in the silence and realized something terrible. I didn't want to be alone anymore. The thought hit me like a wave, and I sank down against the door, pulling my knees to my chest. This was dangerous. He was dangerous. But the bond didn't care, and neither, it seemed, did my heart. My phone buzzed. I pulled it out, already knowing who it was. Minho, you made it inside? I stared at the message. I should have ignored it. Instead, I typed, yes. 3 dots appeared. Then, good, lock your door. And Jiwon? Me. What? Minho. Sleep well. I'll see you tomorrow. My breath caught. Me. No, you won't. Minho. Yes, I will. The certainty in those 3 words wrapped around me like a promise, or a threat. I set the phone down and closed my eyes. Tomorrow. God help me. I didn't sleep. How could I? Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him, felt him, smelled him. The clock on my nightstand glowed 2:47 a.m. when my phone buzzed again. I grabbed it, my heart already racing. Minho, you're awake. Not a question, a statement. My fingers hovered over the screen. Me. How do you know? Minho. Because I am too. I stared at the words, something painful twisting in my chest. Me. Why? The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Minho. Because you're 3 miles away and it feels like 3,000. My breath hitched. No. No, I couldn't do this. Couldn't let him in with pretty words and midnight confessions. Me. Stop. Minho. I can't. Me. Try harder. Minho. I tried for 7 years, Jiwon. It didn't work. I threw the phone onto the bed and stood, pacing the small space of my bedroom. My skin felt too tight, my chest too full. The phone buzzed again and again and again. I snatched it up. Minho. I know you hate me. Minho. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. Minho. But I need you to understand why. My hands shook. Me. I don't want to understand. I want to forget. Minho. Then why haven't you blocked my number? The question cut deeper than it should have, because he was right. I could have blocked him the second he texted, could have deleted his contact, Could have pretended this afternoon never happened. But I didn't. Minho, meet me. Me, no. Minho, please. Me, it's 3 a.m. Minho, I know, I'm outside. My blood turned to ice. I walked to the window, pulling back the curtain just enough to see the street below. And there, parked, under the streetlight, was the black sedan. He was leaning against it, phone in hand, his face tilted up toward my building, like he knew exactly which window was mine. My phone buzzed. Minho, 5th floor, corner unit. You always liked the corner. How did he know that? Minho, you used to sit in the corner of the library too, away from everyone, where you could see both exits. My throat tightened. Minho, I noticed everything about you, Jiwon, even when I pretended not to. I stepped back from the window, my heart slamming against my ribs. This was insane. He was insane. But my feet were already moving, already carrying me toward the door. I grabbed my jacket, shoved my feet into shoes, and took the stairs, because waiting for the elevator felt impossible. The night air hit me like a slap when I pushed through the building's front door. Minho straightened the moment he saw me. You came, he said, and there was something raw in his voice. Relief? Surprise? Hope. I'm here to tell you to leave, I said, stopping a few feet away. Not because I want to see you? I know. Then go. Not until you hear me out. I don't owe you that. You don't owe me anything. He pushed off the car, taking a single step forward, just one. But I owe you the truth. The streetlight cast shadows across his face, sharpening the angles, deepening the exhaustion in his eyes. He looked as wrecked as I felt. Talk, I said. You have 5 minutes. Minho exhaled slowly, like he'd been holding his breath. My father found out about you 3 weeks before graduation. My stomach dropped. He had people watching me, monitoring who I spent time with, who I looked at. He knew the second my scent started changing around you. How? The word came out barely above a whisper. Because his did the same thing when he met my mother, before he rejected her for a political match. Pain laced through his voice, sharp and bitter. He told me I had 2 choices, break the bond before it fully formed, or he'd do it for me, and his method wouldn't have been kind. What does that mean? Minho's jaw clenched. It means he would have had you removed, transferred, or worse. The world tilted. You're lying. I wish I was. His hands curled into fists at his sides. He showed me pictures, Jiwon. Security photos of you walking to class, sitting in the library, getting coffee. He knew your schedule better than I did. Nausea crawled up my throat. So I made a choice, Minho continued, his voice breaking. I became the monster he wanted me to be. I made you hate me, made you afraid of me, because fear would make you run, and running would keep you alive. You could have told me, and put you in more danger? My father doesn't make empty threats. If he thought for a second that you knew the truth, that you might fight for the bond, he would have eliminated the problem, permanently. Tears burned behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. So you destroyed me to save me. Yes, that's not love, Minho. That's control. I know. His voice cracked completely. I know it was wrong. I know I should have found another way. But I was 17 and terrified, and I couldn't lose you. Not permanently. You did lose me. I know. He took another step closer, and this time I didn't move back. And I've regretted it every single day since. The rain started again. Soft, cold. It mixed with the tears I could no longer hold back. Why now? I whispered. Why come back after all this time? Minho's hand lifted, trembling, and this time he didn't stop. His fingers brushed my cheek, catching a tear. The touch was so gentle it shattered something inside me. Because my father died 6 months ago, he said quietly. And the second he was gone, I started looking for you. It took me this long to find you. My breath caught. The contract was real, he continued. But yes, I chose your firm specifically. I needed a reason, an excuse, something that wouldn't scare you away before I could explain. This is insane. I know. You're insane. I know that too. His thumb traced my jaw, and my eyes fluttered closed against my will. But I meant what I said, Jiwon. You're mine. You always have been, and I will spend the rest of my life proving I'm worthy of you if that's what it takes. I opened my eyes, meeting his gaze through the rain. I can't forgive you. I'm not asking you to, not yet. Then what are you asking? His hand slid down to cup the back of my neck, his forehead pressing against mine. Let me try, he breathed. Let me show you who I am when I'm not afraid, when I'm not pretending. My hands fisted in his jacket, torn between pushing him away and pulling him closer. One chance, I whispered. That's all you get. That's all I need. And then his lips brushed mine, soft, tentative, asking permission I wasn't sure I could give. But my body answered for me. I kissed him back. The world stopped. Everything narrowed to the point where our mouths met. Soft, hesitant, like he was terrified I'd pull away. I should have. But instead, I pressed closer. My fingers tightened in his jacket, pulling him down, and Minho made a sound low in his throat that vibrated through my entire body. His other hand came up to cradle my face, tilting my head just enough to deepen the kiss, and suddenly it wasn't tentative anymore. It was desperate. 7 years of wanting crashed between us like a wave, and I was drowning in it. In him. In the way his scent wrapped around me until I couldn't tell where mine ended and his began. The rain fell harder, soaking through our clothes, but neither of us moved. Minho's thumb stroked along my cheekbone, gentle even as his mouth claimed mine with an intensity that stole my breath. And then he pulled back, just enough to rest his forehead against mine again, both of us breathing hard. Jiwon, he whispered, and my name on his lips sounded like a prayer. I couldn't speak, couldn't think. My heart was beating so hard I was sure he could feel it. Come with me, he said softly. Reality slammed back into focus. What? Not far, just... He pulled back enough to meet my eyes. I don't want to let you go yet. Every rational part of me screamed that this was a bad idea, that kissing him was already too much, that going anywhere with him would only make it harder to rebuild the walls I'd spent 7 years constructing. But the bond hummed between us, warm and insistent, and I was so tired of fighting it, so tired of being alone. Okay, I heard myself say. Minho's eyes widened, like he'd expected me to say no. Then his hand found mine, fingers threading through mine like they belonged there, like they'd always belonged there. He opened the car door, and I slid inside. This time, when he sat beside me, I didn't pull away. The driver pulled into traffic without a word, and I watched the city blur past through rain-streaked windows. Where are we going? I asked. Somewhere I can see you without the rest of the world watching. My pulse quickened. The car climbed Queen Anne Hill, winding through streets lined with old homes and newer high-rises, until we stopped in front of a building I recognized. The penthouses at Kerry Park. Of course. Minho stepped out and offered his hand. I took it. The elevator ride to the top floor was silent, except for our breathing and the soft hum of machinery. His thumb traced circles on the back of my hand, and I watched the numbers climb. 20, 30, 40. The doors opened directly into his apartment. I stepped inside and froze. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the entire city. The space. Needle glowed in the distance, and beyond it, Elliott Bay stretched dark and endless beneath the rain. It was beautiful and completely empty. No personal photos, no art, no sign that anyone actually lived here. You don't have to be afraid, Minho said quietly, misreading my hesitation. I'm not afraid of you. Then what? I turned to look at him, really look at him. His hair was wet, rain dripping down his temples. His jacket clung to his shoulders, and his eyes held something fragile and fierce all at once. I'm afraid of this, I admitted, of wanting something that hurt me before. I won't hurt you again. You can't promise that. No. He stepped closer, just one step. But I can promise I'll never stop trying not to. My chest ached. Minho reached up slowly, giving me every chance to pull away, and brushed a strand of wet hair from my forehead. Let me get you something dry to wear, he said. He disappeared down a hallway, and I was left standing alone in this beautiful, empty space that somehow felt just as lonely as he looked. When he returned, he handed me a soft gray sweater and black sweatpants. Bathroom's there, he said, pointing. I took the clothes and locked myself inside. The bathroom was just as pristine as the rest of the apartment, all marble and chrome and cold surfaces. I peeled off my wet clothes and pulled on his. The sweater was too big, falling past my hips, and it smelled so strongly of him that wearing it felt like being wrapped in his arms. I caught my reflection in the mirror. My hair was a mess. My eyes were reed-rimmed, and I looked young, vulnerable, like the Omega boy Minho used to corner in hallways. But when I stepped back into the living room, the way he looked at me had nothing to do with that boy. It was hunger and reverence and something deeper I didn't have a name for. Come here, he said softly. He was sitting on the couch, changed, into dry clothes, his wet hair pushed back from his face. I should have kept my distance, but I crossed the room and sat beside him, not touching, but close enough. Can I ask you something? I said. Anything. When did you know that we were mates? Minho was quiet for a long moment. The first day of sophomore year, he said finally. You walked past me in the hallway, and your scent hit me so hard I had to grab the locker beside me to stay upright. My breath caught. You were wearing a blue hoodie, he continued, too big for you, and you had your headphones in, completely lost in your own world. You didn't even notice me. I noticed you, I whispered. I always noticed you. His gaze snapped to mine. Then why didn't you say anything? Because you were Kang Minho, star athlete, untouchable, and I was just... I trailed off, the old shame creeping back. You were everything, Minho said fiercely. You were everything, and I was too. Much of a coward to tell you. He reached out, his hand hovering over mine, asking, always asking now. I turned my hand, palm up, an invitation. His fingers laced through mine, and the bond flared so bright between us, I gasped. I feel it, I breathed. God, I feel it. So do I. His voice was rough, wrecked. I felt it every day since you left. He pulled me closer, and this time I went willingly. My head rested against his shoulder, and his arm came around me, holding me like I was something precious, something he'd finally found after searching for too long. Stay, he whispered into my hair, just for tonight. Just let me hold you. I should have said no, should have protected myself. But his heartbeat was steady beneath my ear, and his scent surrounded me like coming home, and I was so tired of running. Okay, I whispered. Minho's arms tightened around me, and for the first time in 7 years, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, I deserved this. Deserved him. Deserved to be wanted. His phone rang. The sound cut through the silence like a blade, and I felt Minho tense beneath me. He didn't move to answer it. You should get that, I said quietly. It can wait. But it kept ringing and ringing. Finally, with a curse under his breath, Minho reached for it. I started to pull away, to give him space, but his arm tightened around me. Stay, he murmured, then answered. What is it? His voice was cold, professional. Nothing like the warmth he'd been using with me. I couldn't hear the other side of the conversation, but I watched his expression shift, harden. When? A pause. I see. Another pause, longer this time. No, don't do anything until I get there. He ended the call and stared at the phone for a long moment. Minho? I have to go, he said, but he didn't let go of me. There's a situation at one of the development sites, something that needs my immediate attention. Okay. I don't want to leave you. The raw honesty in his voice made my chest tighten. I'll be fine, I said. I can call a car. No. He pulled back enough to look at me. Stay here, please. I'll be back in a few hours. There's food in the kitchen and anything you need. Minho, I can't just stay in your apartment alone. Why not? Because I didn't have a good answer. It feels wrong. It's not. His hand cupped my face. This is the safest place in the city, and I need to know you're somewhere I don't have to worry about you. You don't have to worry about me at all. I know, but I do anyway. He pressed a kiss to my forehead, soft and lingering. Please, just a few hours. Against every instinct screaming at me to leave, I nodded. Okay. Relief flooded his features. He stood, reluctantly letting go of my hand. Lock the door behind me. Don't let anyone in. I'll text you when I'm on my way. Back. You're being paranoid. I'm being careful. He grabbed his jacket from where he'd draped it over a chair. There's a difference. Then he was gone, the door clicking shut behind him. I sat there for a moment, surrounded by his scent, in his clothes, in his space. This was surreal. All of it. I stood and walked to the windows, pressing my palm against the cool glass. The city stretched out below, lights flickering through the rain like stars. My phone buzzed. I pulled it out, expecting Minho. It wasn't. Unknown number. You're making a mistake. My blood turned cold. Me. Who is this? Unknown number. Someone who knows what you don't. Me. I'm blocking this number. Unknown number. He's lying to you, Jiwon. My finger froze over the block button. Me. About what? 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Unknown. Number. Ask him about the real reason he needed you specifically for the Beck contract. Me. He already told me. Unknown number. Did he tell you about the clause? The one that binds you to him legally if you accept? My heart stopped. Unknown number. Didn't think so. Me. You're lying. Unknown number. Check the contract. Page 47, Section 12, C. He's been planning this for months. The consulting work is real, but so is the fine print. You sign that document and you're his. Legally bound as a contracted mate under PAC law. No, this couldn't be real. Me. Why are you telling me this? Unknown number. Because someone should have protected you 7 years ago, and no one did. The number went dead. I tried calling back. Nothing. My hands shook as I opened my work email and pulled up the contract file my boss had sent me. Page 47, Section 12C, and there it was, buried in legal jargon and corporate speak, a clause that made my stomach turn. In the event of successful contract completion, the primary consultant agrees to maintain an ongoing advisory relationship with Beck Enterprises for a minimum period of 5 years, including attendance at all PAC-related corporate functions as the designated representative and acknowledged bond partner of the CEO bond partner. Not consultant, not advisor, bond partner. It was right there, hidden but legal, binding. The apartment door opened. I spun around, my phone clutched in my hand. Minho stepped inside, his expression shifting the second he saw my face. What's wrong? You lied to me. He went still. What are you talking about? I held up my phone, my hand shaking. The contract. The real reason you wanted me. It wasn't about second chances or proving yourself. It was about trapping me. Jiwon, that's not... Don't. My voice cracked. Don't you dare stand there and lie to me again. I read it. Section 12C. Bond partner, 5 years. You were going to trick me into signing away my freedom. Minho's jaw clenched. Who told you? Does it matter? Yes, it fucking matters. He stepped toward me and I stepped back. Because whoever sent you that is trying to manipulate you. Like you manipulated me? I didn't manipulate you. Then what do you call hiding a legal bond clause in a consulting contract? Insurance, he said, and the honesty of it slapped me across the face. It was insurance in case you refused to give me a chance any other way. So you were going to force me? No. He ran his hand through his hair, frustration bleeding through his composure. The clause only activates if the bond is mutually accepted. If you completed the contract and still wanted nothing to do with me, it would be void. But if you chose me, if the bond formed naturally, then legally no one could challenge it. No one could try to break us apart again. You should have told me. I was going to. When? After I'd already signed? Before. Tonight. That's why I asked you to stay. I was going to show you the contract myself and explain everything before we went any further. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to so badly. But the words from the unknown number kept echoing in my head. He's lying to you. I can't do this, I whispered. Jiwon, please. I can't. Tears burned my eyes. I let you in. I let myself believe this was real. And the whole time, you had a backup plan, a way to make sure I couldn't leave even if I wanted to. That's not what this was. Then what was it? Love, he said desperately. It was love and fear, and knowing that I already lost you once and I couldn't survive losing you again. That's not love, Minho. My voice broke completely. That's possession. No? Yes. I grabbed my jacket from the couch, my vision blurring. You don't get to decide what's best for me. You don't get to manipulate my choices and call it protection. I wasn't trying to. I'm leaving. I moved toward the door, and Minho stepped in front of me, not blocking me, just standing there, looking at me like I was the only thing in the world that mattered. If you walk out that door, he said quietly, I won't stop you. I won't follow you. I won't text or call or show up at your apartment. If you want me gone, I'm gone. Good. But before you go, answer me one question. I waited. Do you feel it? His voice dropped to a whisper. The bond. Do you feel it the way I do? Yes. The answer screamed through every cell in my body, but I couldn't say it, because saying it meant admitting he was right. That biology was stronger than choice, that no matter how much he'd hurt me, my body would always choose him. It doesn't matter what I feel, I said instead. It's the only thing that matters. No. I looked him in the eye. Trust matters. Honesty matters. And you've given me neither. I pushed past him. This time, he let me go. The elevator, doors closed, and I watched his face disappear behind the steel. He didn't move, didn't try to stop me, just stood there, looking more broken than I'd ever seen him. And when the elevator hit the ground floor and I stepped out into the rain, the bond stretched between us like a physical thing, pulling, aching, begging me to go back. But I didn't. I walked, and with every step, the pain got worse. I made it 2 blocks before I had to stop. My chest seized, and I grabbed the brick wall beside me, gasping for air that wouldn't come. The bond. It was ripping me apart from the inside. Every step away from him felt like tearing muscle from bone, like my body was screaming at me to turn around, to go back, to make it stop. But I couldn't. I wouldn't. The rain soaked through my jacket, cold and merciless, and I forced myself to keep walking, one foot in front of the other. My phone buzzed. I pulled it out with shaking hands. Minho, I'm sorry. That's all it said. 2 words that meant everything and nothing. I shoved the phone back in my pocket and kept walking, but the buzzing didn't stop. Minho, I never meant to hurt you. Minho, the clause was wrong. I know that now. Minho, I'll have my lawyer remove it. Tonight. You have my word. Minho, please just tell me you made it home safe. My vision blurred, and I didn't know if it was rain or tears anymore. I turned down another street, cutting through the park where late-night joggers passed under streetlights like ghosts. My legs were trembling now, the bond pulling so hard I could barely think. And then I felt it. Someone watching. I stopped, my heart slamming into overdrive. The street was empty, but the feeling didn't go away. I turned slowly, scanning the shadows between the trees. Nothing. You're paranoid, I whispered to myself. Just get home. I started walking again, faster this time. The footsteps behind me matched my pace. My blood turned to ice. I didn't look back, didn't stop, just kept moving, my hand already reaching for my phone. The footsteps got closer. I broke into a run. So did they. Panic clawed up my throat as I sprinted through the park, my shoes slapping against wet pavement. I could hear them behind me, closing the distance, and my mind raced through every self-defense move I'd ever learned and immediately forgot. I burst out onto a main street, nearly colliding with a couple walking their dog. "Sorry," I gasped, stumbling past them. I risked a glance back. The figure stood at the edge of the park, half hidden in shadow, watching, not following anymore, just watching. My phone rang. I answered without looking. "Minho, someone's following me." "Where are you?" His voice was sharp, controlled, but I could hear the fear underneath. "I don't know. A few blocks from Cary Park. I cut through the park and—" "Get somewhere public. Now. I'm coming." "No, I'm fine. They stopped. I just—" "Jiwon," his voice cracked. "Please, don't argue with me. Get somewhere with people and stay there until I get to you." The raw terror in his voice cut through my pride. "Okay," I whispered. I ducked into a 24-hour diner, the fluorescent lights painfully bright after the darkness outside. A waitress looked up from wiping down tables. "Rough night, honey?" Something like that. She nodded toward a booth. "Sit anywhere. Coffee?" "Please." I slid into the booth farthest from the door, my back to the wall so I could see the entrance. The coffee came, and I wrapped my hands around the mug, trying to stop them from shaking. My phone was still connected to Minho. "I'm inside," I said quietly. "Where?" His voice was tight. "The diner on Queen Anne Avenue." "I know it. Don't move. I'm 5 minutes away." "You don't have to." 5 minutes, G1. The line went dead. I sat there, staring at the door, my heart still racing. The waitress refilled my coffee even though I hadn't touched the first cup. "You okay, sweetheart?" "Yeah, just waiting for someone." She gave me a knowing look. "Boyfriend?" The word stuck in my throat. "It's complicated. They always are." She smiled and walked away. 4 minutes later, the door burst open. Minho stood in the entrance, rain dripping from his hair, his eyes wild as they scanned the room. They landed on me, and something in his expression broke. He crossed the diner in 3 strides and slid into the booth across from me. "Are you hurt?" His hands reached across the table, hovering over mine, still asking, always asking. "I'm fine." "Did they touch you?" "No. They just followed me for a few blocks, then stopped." Minho's jaw clenched so hard I heard his teeth grind. "Describe them." I couldn't see their face. It was too dark, but they were tall. Broad, alpha build. The same one from the alley? I don't know. Maybe. Minho pulled out his phone and made a call. "I need security on Queen Anne, full sweep of the park and surrounding blocks. Now." He paused, listening. "I don't care if it's protocol, do it." He hung up and looked at me, really looked at me. And I saw it then, the absolute terror he'd been holding back. "You can't do this anymore," he said quietly. "Do what?" "Walk away from me and think you're safe." "I can take care of myself." I know you can. His hand finally closed over mine, warm and solid. But you shouldn't have to. Not alone. Minho, I know you're angry. I know you don't trust me, and you have every right to feel that way. His thumb traced circles on my palm. But someone is targeting you, and I will burn this entire city to the ground before I let them hurt you. You can't protect me from everything. Watch me. The intensity in his voice sent chills down my spine. This is what I was afraid of, I whispered. You don't see me as a person. You see me as something to protect, something to possess. No. He leaned forward, his eyes burning into mine. I see you as the only thing in this world that matters. And if that makes me obsessive or possessive or any other word you want to throw at me, fine, I'll own it. But I won't apologize for wanting to keep you safe. Even if I don't want you to. Even then, my breath hitched. That's not healthy. I know. His voice dropped to barely a whisper. But loving you was never going to be healthy, Jiwon. Not after what I did. Not after 7 years of wanting something I thought I'd lost forever. Tears burned my eyes again. I hate you, I said, but the words came out broken. I know. I hate that you make me feel this way. I know. I hate that even now, even after everything, my voice cracked completely. Say it, Minho. Breathed. Please. I still want you. His eyes closed, and I saw a tear slip down his cheek. Just one, but it wrecked me. I'm sorry, he whispered, for all of it, for the contract, for not telling you everything, for being so afraid of losing you that I tried to control the outcome. How do I know you won't do it again? You don't. He opened his eyes, and the honesty there stole my breath. I can't promise I'll be perfect. I can't promise I won't make mistakes. But I can promise that from now on, every choice I make, I'll make with you. Not for you. With you. What does that mean? It means the contract is void. Completely. I'll tear it up tonight and start over with something clean. Something you approve every word of. And the bond? Is yours to accept or reject. His hand tightened on mine. I won't trap you, Jiwon. Not legally. Not emotionally. If you want me, I'm yours. If you don't, I'll find a way to live with it. Will you? I searched his face. Because the bond doesn't just go away. You said it yourself. It's biology. Then I'll fight biology. His voice turned fierce. I'll fight fate itself if that's what it takes to give you a real choice. The waitress refilled my coffee again, tactfully ignoring the tears on both our faces. I stared at our joined hands, at the way his fingers fit perfectly between mine, at the way his scent, even now, made everything else fade away. I need time, I said finally. I'll give you all the time you need. And space, whatever you want. And honesty. No more secrets, no more protection disguised as manipulation. You have my word. I looked up at him. How do I know your word means anything? Minho reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. He unlocked it, opened something, and slid it across the table. I looked down. It was an email draft to his lawyer, terminating the contract clause. Effective. Immediately. The timestamp showed he'd written it before he'd even left to come get me. I meant what I said, Minho said quietly. You're not trapped. You never were. The only person holding you here is you. My throat tightened. Send it, I whispered. He pressed send without breaking eye contact. Done. We sat there in the too bright diner, rain hammering against the windows, and I felt something shift. Not forgiveness, not yet, but possibility. The bond hummed between us, quieter now, gentler, like it knew, like it understood that real love wasn't about force or fate, it was about choice, and I was finally ready to make mine. Come home with me. The words hung between us, soft but certain. I looked at Minho across the table, his hand still wrapped around mine, and felt the weight of everything we'd been through settle over us like rain. "Your place or mine?" I asked, and the corner of his mouth lifted. "Yours," he said. "I want to see where you've been living, the life you built without me." Something about that honesty made my chest ache. "Okay." We left the diner together, Minho's hand at the small of my back as he guided me to his car. The driver was already waiting, and we slid into the back seat in silence. This time, when Minho sat beside me, I leaned into him, just slightly, but enough. His arm came around my shoulders, pulling me closer, and I let myself sink into the warmth of him. The drive to my apartment was quiet, comfortable, like something had been settled between us, even though nothing had actually been said. When we pulled up to my building, Minho walked me to the door. "I meant what I said," he murmured as we rode the elevator up. "Time, space, whatever you need." "I know." The elevator dinged, and we stepped into the hallway. I unlocked my door, and Minho followed me inside. My apartment was nothing like his. Small, lived in, books stacked on every surface, a blanket draped over the couch, coffee mugs still sitting on the kitchen counter from this morning. It was messy and imperfect, and mine. Minho stood in the middle of it, looking around like he was trying to memorize every detail. "It smells like you," he said quietly. "Is that a good thing?" "It's everything." I set my keys down and turned to face him. "You can stay, if you want." His eyes widened slightly. "Are you sure?" "No." I stepped closer. "But I'm asking anyway." Minho closed the distance between us, his hands coming up to frame my face. "I'll stay as long as you'll let me." "What if that's forever?" His breath hitched. "Then I'll count myself the luckiest alpha alive." I kissed him, not desperate this time, not frantic, just honest. His lips moved against mine like he was trying to pour every apology, every promise, every truth he couldn't speak into this one moment, and I let him. When we finally pulled apart, we were both breathing hard. "Stay here," I whispered. "Tonight, just hold me. Anything you want." We moved to the couch, and I curled into his side, my head against his chest, his heartbeat steady beneath my ear. His fingers traced patterns on my arm, and I felt the bond settle between us like something that had finally found home. "Can I ask you something?" I said into the quiet. "Always." "The person who texted me about the contract. Do you know who it was?" Minho's hand stilled. "I have suspicions." "Tell me." He was quiet for a long moment. "There's only one person who would have had access to that contract before it was finalized. Someone on my board who's been against me taking over my father's company since the day he died." "Why?" "Because they wanted the position for themselves, and they know the easiest way to destroy me is to take away the one thing that makes me want to keep fighting." My stomach dropped. "Me. You." I sat up, looking at him. "So this isn't over?" "No." His jaw clenched. "But I won't let them touch you, Jiwon. I promise you that." "You can't promise that." "Watch me." There it was again, that fierce, possessive certainty that should have scared me, but instead made me feel safe. "What are you going to do?" I asked. "Whatever it takes." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed on the coffee table. We both looked at it. Unknown number. "You think he's being honest now? Ask him about the accident." My blood turned cold. Minho saw my expression and grabbed the phone. His face went white. "What accident?" I whispered. He didn't answer. "Minho, what accident?" "It's nothing. Don't lie to me. Not now. Not after everything." He set the phone down, his hands shaking. 3 months ago, there was a car accident. My driver was taking me to a meeting and someone ran us off the road. My heart stopped. "Were you hurt?" "No, but the investigators found evidence that it wasn't an accident. Someone tampered with the brakes." "Who?" "We never found out." His eyes met mine. But the day after it happened, I got a message. Anonymous. It said if I didn't stop looking for you, the next accident would be fatal. The room tilted. You kept looking anyway. Of course I did. His voice broke. I told you, Jiwon. I would burn the world down to find you. And I meant it. Tears spilled down my cheeks. You could have died. I know. And you didn't tell me. I didn't want to scare you away. You're an idiot. I know that too. He pulled me back into his arms. But I'm your idiot, if you'll have me. I buried my face in his chest, breathing in his scent, feeling his heartbeat against my cheek. Pine and smoke. Home. I'm scared, I whispered. So am I. What if they come after you again? After us? Then we face it together. What if I'm not strong enough? Minho pulled back just enough to tilt my chin up, forcing me to meet his eyes. You're the strongest person I know, Jiwon. You survived me. You survived 7 years alone. You built a life from nothing. You are more than strong enough. Promise me something. Anything. Promise me you'll stop trying to protect me by keeping secrets, even if you think it's for my own good. I promise. And promise me that if something happens, if someone comes for us, you'll let me fight beside you instead of trying to shield me. His jaw tightened, but he nodded. I promise. I kissed him again, slower this time, and felt the bond flare bright between us. This was real, messy and complicated and dangerous, but real. When we finally settled back on the couch, wrapped in each other, I felt my phone buzz one more time. I ignored it, but Minho didn't. I watched his face as he read the message, watched the color drain from his skin, watched his entire body go rigid. What? I asked. What is it? He turned the phone toward me. Unknown number. Tell him about the child, Minho, or I will. The world stopped. My blood turned to ice. What child? I whispered. Minho's eyes met mine, and in them I saw something I'd never seen before. Absolute terror. Jiwon, I can explain. What? Child. His hand reached for mine, but I pulled away. There was a night, he said quietly. 7 years ago, right before graduation, before my father found out about us. My heart slammed against my ribs. No. We were at that party, the bonfire by the beach. You were upset because someone had spread rumors about you. I found you alone, crying, and I... Stop. We both had too much to drink. Things happened too fast. And the next morning... Stop. You were gone. You left before I woke up. And then, 3 days later, you disappeared completely. My entire body was shaking. Are you telling me... I didn't know, Minho said desperately. I swear I didn't know. Not until 6 months ago when I hired investigators to find you. They found hospital records, birth records. The room spun. His name is Jiho, Minho whispered. He's 6 years old, and he's ours. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't process what he was saying. You're lying. I wish I was. I would have known. I would have remembered. The morning after, you were in shock. Your scent had changed. I thought it was just the alcohol, but looking back, his voice cracked. You were already bonded, already carrying him. No. I stood, stumbling backward. No, this is insane. I don't have a child. I would know if I had a child. Minho stood slowly, his hands raised. The hospital records show you gave birth at Seattle General, 7 months after that night, and then the baby was taken. Taken by who? His silence was answer enough. Your father. Yes. My knees gave out. Minho caught me before I hit the floor, but I shoved him away. Where is he? My voice sounded foreign, broken. Where is my son? Safe, Minho said quickly. He's safe. I've had people watching him since the day I found out. He's being raised by a foster family in Bellevue. Good people, kind people. Does he know about me? Minho's expression shattered. No. Does he know about you? No. I laughed, but it came out hollow, hysterical. So we both have a son, and neither of us has ever met him. I've seen him, Minho whispered, from a distance. He has your eyes, Ji-won, your smile. And when I caught his scent, he didn't finish. He didn't have to. I want to see him. Tomorrow. I'll take you tomorrow, I promise. Why didn't you tell me? The question ripped out of me. Why didn't you tell me the second you found me? Because I was afraid you'd run, that you'd think I was using him to trap you, that you'd never forgive me for what my father did. I'll never forgive you for this. The words hit him like a physical blow. I know, he whispered. My phone buzzed again. I grabbed it with shaking hands. Unknown number. He's lying about one more thing. Unknown number. The foster family? They're moving. Out of state. Tomorrow morning. Unknown number. If you want to meet your son, you have 12 hours. I looked up at Minho, and something in my expression made him go pale. What? He asked. What did they say? I showed him the phone, and watched his world end. No, he breathed. No, that's not possible. I have legal injunctions, court orders. They can't move him without... His phone rang. He answered it, and I watched every ounce of color drain from his face. When? A pause. How? Another pause. Find them. I don't care what it costs. Find them. He hung up. They're gone, he said hollowly. The foster family, Jiho, all of it. Someone paid them off, gave them new identities. They left 3 hours ago. The room tilted again. No. I'm sorry. God, Jawan, I'm so sorry. Fix this. I grabbed his jacket, my vision blurring with tears. Fix this right now. I will. I swear I will. You promised me no more secrets. I know. You promised me honesty. I know. And you've been lying to me about our son this entire time. I was trying to protect. I don't want your protection, I screamed. I want my child. The words echoed through the apartment. Minho stood there, tears streaming down his face, and said nothing, because there was nothing left to say. My phone buzzed one final time. Unknown number. Tick-tock, Omega. The clock is running. Unknown number. And so should you. I looked at the message, then at Minho, then at the door, and I ran. Please. Like, comment, subscribe, and click on the notification bell. Thanks for watching.